Apologies, everyone. It seems I didn't have my microphone on. So, welcome, everybody. Welcome to the first EPALE webcast of 2024. I'm Tamsin Rose, and I will be the host of the regular monthly webcast. Our regular slot is going to be midday on the first Monday of the month, so make sure it's a recurring appointment in your calendar. Let's start with a roundup of news from the EU. The European Commission has published a call for evidence on the midterm evaluation of the European Social Fund Plus, that's ESF Plus. This EU programme helps millions of Europeans to improve their lives by learning new skills and finding better jobs. The evaluation will be published in the last quarter of this year, and contributions are welcomed until the 13th of February. So if you want to submit something, you need to hurry up. The closing event for the European Year of Skills will take place in Brussels on the 30th of April. And the European Commission has opened a call. If you want to organise a 90-minute discussion table at that event, you would need to apply by the 20th of February. And in case you missed it in all the emails at the end of the year, don't forget that the European Commission published the European Education and Training Monitor at the end of last year. And that milestone publication recaps all the achievements in education and training, and it tracks the progress towards achieving the EU targets country by country. And by the way, there's a whole chapter that's dedicated to adult learning. The fifth OECD Skills Summit will take place on the 21st and 22nd of February, and that's organised together with the Belgian presidency of the European Council. This high-level event will feature top officials from OECD and non-OECD countries under the topic Skills for the Future, Building Bridges to New Opportunities, and it will make the link between global trends and the European Year of Skills. And the Belgian presidency of the Council, which started on the 1st of January this year, sees digital inclusion as a means of reducing social and economic inequalities across the EU. And of course, involving adult learners in this will be crucial. There'll be a conference on this issue in Brussels on the 13th and 14th of March, and it's linked to both the Digital Decade objectives and the European Pillar of Social Rights. This event will explore how to empower adult learners across Europe and formulate proposals to ensure inclusive digital services are offered by both public and private organisations. And now, looking at the EPALE community, we have some news. This year's thematic focuses for 2024 have been launched, and there are three key ones. The first one is upskilling and reskilling for the digital transition, and that covers how adult educators can master digital change, equipping adults with a wide range of digital skills, particularly literacy from basic to data and even algorithm literacy. Women's empowerment in tech, the underrepresentation of women in ICT professions and STEM education, effective and lasting labour market integration of women. We'll be asking, how does gender bias affect technology? The second topic is adult learning as a way out of poverty. And this acknowledges poverty as a multidimensional phenomenon, linking to other disadvantages like disempowerment, vulnerability, and discrimination. It will look at reducing inequalities and fighting social exclusion and tackling poverty. We'll explore how a just and fair and equal access to education has both direct and indirect impacts on both economic growth and social inclusion. We'll seek to understand the relationship between poverty and education and how to tackle the root causes. And finally, under this topic, we'll support learners' empowerment and the sense of ownership
Hi everyone, sorry for this technical issue that we are encountering. Tamsin will be back soon, and so we can go and explore the new thematic focuses this year that will accompany us for the 2024 activities, editorial activities on EPALE. So let me go back to the thematic focuses for this year. As Tamsin was saying, was announcing the topic on adult learning as a way out of poverty, which is one of the most, beloved topics that our adult educators and trainers always share on EPALE. We think this topic is really, really important to be covered during this year. We will also have dedicated experts during the whole year to train us and to give us more information about how to deal with this incredible topic. And then the third theme, one of the main focuses for this year will be about sustainable development, one of the twin transitions that is part of the European strategies in this very year. So this topic will address the climate crisis and climate change topic and how the education and training sector can act, can equip for greener and a more sustainable future by strengthening the competencies of educators and citizens, actually, and how to keep citizens and educators with the right skills to educate for a more green future. And then one of the main topics among these focus would be sustainability and ecological literacy and how they are integrated into adult education and into the adult education and training programs and into the education points of view and perspective, and how to train workforces to develop a new green skill set, which is aligned with the current challenges of the world, both of work and our world as citizens. So as we can see, Tamsin is back, so we can move to the other news from EPALE. We already covered some of the topics from the sustainable development topic, one of our incredible focuses for this year. So you can move to the next interesting part of the episode. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and apologies everyone, we have computer gremlins here. My laptop decided to crash while I was in the middle of trying to talk to you all, so apologies for that. Let's now move on to the part perhaps you're most interested in, which is the latest EPALE Community Storybook, which is now out. And this year's storybook is entitled Back to the Future, and it's a collection of lives, experiences, hopes, reflections on the role of skills for the future of adult learning. It's published by the EU and it showcases 86 adult learning professionals from all across Europe. And they share their vision of the present, but also of the future. You can get your hands on it by downloading it from the EPALE website. And do take a moment to check out the great video that accompanies the storybook. Now, I'm excited to invite you to meet an inspired educator who shared her perspectives in the EPALE community stories. Welcome to Susanna Tuominen, who is joining us from Finland. Hello, Susanna.
Hello. Thank you for having me, first of all, and greetings from Finland.
Thank you. In your story, I was really interested by a couple of messages. This proliferation of professional identities rather than relying on formal qualifications. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. To me, in my opinion, I see that we have had kind of like move from the previous system where you graduated from some school, you had a profession, you had a professional identity. So we have moved past that, and these days I think we have a lot more choices, a lot more different career paths in our lives. So it's like kind of my text roams around the idea that life begins after you graduate. You start finding yourself in new positions, new places. You go along with the working life, and that's about that.
Excellent, thank you. So this idea that, after you perhaps finish formal education, you've got a whole perspective ahead of you, and this is where adult learning helps you build and construct your professional identity, which is increasingly what we need for the rest of our lives. I mean, I studied at university 30 years ago. Nobody asks me today what I studied then. It's much more about the learning that I've gained since then. Now, there's a second really interesting element that you put in your story that I wanted to ask you about, because you said your wish is for work-based learning to be attractive, interesting, and within the working time, rather than being an obligation that people are reluctant to attend. So do you have suggestions for us? A couple of things that you think could help improve this situation?
Yeah, I have actually few examples that came into my mind. First of all, I think you should, like, as an employer, you should value the idea of education for giving your employees a new kind of competence you can later use, or they can later use in their work. It will benefit both the individuals at work and also the employer, because learning new stuff, being able to use those skills in working life, it's important. We live in an information society where you constantly can learn something new, and if you don't educate your employers, there's you will get left behind. And first idea of having this education during the working hours is based on, as we know, the working life is busy these days. Our own lives are busy these days. So you have to find some time in your day to complete the education. So I think it's valuable if you manage to recognize the need for education during working hours. During your busy workday, you will find a time to educate yourself. You will clear your schedule with your employer to have the time to educate yourself. And I think that's one thing that gives motivation to go through all these things, learn all about this new stuff that's relevant both for your work and for your own individual life. And the second one I had in mind was maybe this kind of idea of career guidance, because once you're at school, you have a little bit of career guidance. There's somebody who tells you all these options you have in life. But after you graduate, it kind of stops, People these days have so many options in their lives that they don't even know about. So maybe if they manage to put some career guidance into working hours, it will help the individuals to recognize their needs, their skills they want to improve. And I kind of have this idea where maybe that would, of course, it helps the individual to think about what they want to do in their life. But maybe if you get the career guidance during your working hours, you might be able to find these skills that would be helpful in your current job. It would help a lot of communities to get their workers to commit to the places after they find out what they want to do, how they want to improve themselves, and then after that, you can offer the education to do that.
Great, thank you very much. So I love this idea that within working time, we need to think about both, recognition of professional development, career advice, and always also by scheduling adult learning within working time, it's a signal from the employer that they're investing in the skills and the asset. They see their workers as assets. And for the workers themselves, that it's an opportunity to say, well, I'm getting some training now that it's useful for my job now, but it's also an investment in skills that I have that I can then take on with my future wherever I go and whatever I do. So thank you. That's great suggestions about how we could really make workplace learning attractive and engaging. So thank you very much, Susanna, for joining us this morning. And finally, I just loved in your EPALE community story, your reminder that all learning, even aimless learning, is worthwhile because it offers insights both about yourself and the world around you. So Susanna, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today and also on the EPALE storybook. So, for the rest of you, would you like to learn how to tell a good story? Would you like to learn more about how to build a good narrative? We have the perfect experience for you. Next month on the 14th of March, so mark your calendars, we're hosting a free webinar on storytelling. Alison Myers of Story Collab will run a 2-hour webinar to equip you with the ideas, the prompts, and the inspirations for sharing your story. Now, we know that storytelling is a very powerful educational tool, so you won't want to miss this opportunity. The webinar is free, but you have to register. If you visit the EPALE website in the next couple of days, you'll get all the information and registration will open soon. Thank you so much for joining us today, and apologies for the technical problems we've had. I look forward to seeing you for the next episode, Monday, the 4th of March at noon. In the meantime, keep learning.